We've got an early peek at the upcoming New Year's banner to kick things off for 2022. The devs wanted New Year's off, so we got the datamine early and also want to partake in the New Year's celebration, so let's cover all the new units now. We've got a few more days to wait, but for the first banner of 2022, we have New Year's versions of Lyre, Reginn, Fafnir, and Duo Dagr Nott. We'll be covering everyone's stats, skills, and go over some general playstyles. As a reminder, if you have the Fate Pass, then this seasonal banner can be sparked with 40 summons. For the 4-star focus unit, it's going to be Years Lyre. You can get her at 4-star or 5-star rarity. If Lyre looks familiar, then that's intended because she's the twin sister of Leith, who got a New Year's ult a couple years ago. Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn has a huge cast of characters, so they've had a lot of newcomers in seasonal banners. As a unit, Lyre will be a colorless cavalry unit with 40 HP, 37 attack, 42 speed, 27 defense, and 28 res. Lyre will have a speed super boon, and she's going to put that to very good use. For ult skills, she comes with Luna, attack and speed catch 3, and chill attack and defense 2. Lyre may not be a permanent unit, but user access to catch skills is always nice, and it can feed into some very nice skill inheritance chains if you get some extras. Like all beast units, Lyre is going to also have a unique weapon called the Sparkling Fang. This 14-man weapon grants another +3 speed, so Lyre sits at 45 base speed. If the foe is more than 75% HP, she also gets +6 attack and speed and the effects of Flashing Blade 4. That means if Lyre outspeeds the enemy, she gets +1 special charge per her own attacks and also deals +5 true damage on every hit. As a reminder, when Beast Cavaliers transform, they also gain a mini-straight impact-like effect, so on initiations they inflict -4 attack and defense on the foe and prevent a follow-up attack. It does seem like the buffs to infantry beasts like Ashe and Nyla was a tune-up instead of a new standard. Elm from the book 6 maps also didn't get a change to the Beast Flyer transformation bonus, so it's not entirely surprising to see the Beast Cavaliers stay the same as well. Now, while being transformed is definitely preferred for Lyre, she has a very unique weapon at base. Cavaliers cannot get Flashing Blade, and Lyre is already topping over 50 speed from her weapon alone. Solid weapon for the 4-star focus unit. In terms of builds, having Flashing Blade in her weapon means Lyre can run 2 stat boosters and still get faster specials. She can basically stack attack and speed, and if transformed, she gets a little bit of protection while initiating. From her base kit, attack and speed catch 3 is a fine budget skill, but you can definitely ditch the dual chill if you want. Tack on your favorite attack and speed Sacred Seal, and Lyre should be good to go. Now, unfortunately, Beast Cavaliers cannot run Flow Refresh or Flow Guard, which kinda sucks, and I don't really know why they locked them out the Beast units, because Beast units aren't exactly getting Beast only skills like dragons have. This means no follow-up for Lyre, so she can be stopped by Wary Fighter effects. Despite this, Lyre can still have fun with other offensive skills like Surge Sparrow. Its healing only procs one of your special triggers, so Flashing Blade works great with it. There is also the Kanto Near Trace skills, and obviously Kanto is just so strong if you want to get in and get out. Lyre is also free to run low B skills, nothing wrong with those either. If you don't have premium options, then good old Desperation is always there, and again works nicely with Flashing Blade if you run a 2 cooldown special. Lyre should also be able to run Gale Force and just need to tank 1 counterattack to proc it in 1 round. Interestingly, the New Year's Tempest Trials is finally giving us a Fury 3 Sacred Seal. That means you're able to run double Fury on everyone, and certain units can even run 3 recoil damage skills. This may be relevant if you want Lyre to start a Wings of Mercy chain for your team. She can dive in, tank a hit, and lose 12 or more HP after a combat to hopefully be under 50% HP. That's when other units like Nyla or Ashe could pile in, and yeah, it's a very interesting possibility if you want to run a full Beast Emblem team. Regardless, Lyre is a pretty nice 4-star focus unit if you like Beast Cavaliers. Having Flashing Blade 4 is a huge plus and lets her run full stat boosting skills to keep up with the speed power creep train. Overall, pretty solid unit. Next up we have Reginn, who is our newest ally from book 5. She seems to have an otter to commemorate her brother who couldn't make it this year. Reginn still has her mech, but this time she is a Blue Mage Cavalier. She will have 37 HP, 38 attack, 40 speed, 23 defense, and 24 resistance. Reginn will have speed and res super boons. We've gotten some fierce mage cavs in the past year, so how does Reginn stack up? Well, for ult skill, she's going to have Swift Sparrow 3, so we know she's joining the ever-growing player face powerhouse group. Technically, one of her old skills is Sather Shell, which is her unique special from her mythic version. This is a 3 cooldown special that charges itself on turn 1. It only boosts damage by 15, but it also gets adaptive damage when it hits. Reginn can mess you up if you have lopsided defensive stats, and as a mage, she will be able to bypass high res tanks this time. Sather Shell is important to keep in mind because of her unique weapon. Her tome is the Nidavellir Lots. This 14-might tome adds another +3 attack and gives Reginn Kanto 2 for the first 4 turns. At the start of turn 4, she also gets -3 special cooldown, which means she can charge Sather Shell again if you've already used it. Now, for actual combat, if Reginn has more than 25% HP, she gets +6 attack and speed. Very simple. Nidavellir Lots is quite basic combat-wise, but like we saw with Yuri, it is the utility of its other effects that can shine through. Like base Reginn, she gets Kanto, but only Kanto 2 this time, not Kanto 3. Not a huge deal because she is ranged, and it's going to be a very powerful effect as always. The only downside is that, again, this only lasts for 4 turns, so you have to get things done quickly or Reginn runs out of steam. Ideally, she will be able to nuke someone with pre-charged Sather Shell and Kanto away. Then on turn 4, she can do this again without charging Sather Shell back up herself. For inheritable skills, Reginn does have a new skill called Cross Spur Attack. Grants +5 attack to allies in cardinal directions of unit during combat. Spurs have been brought back from the dead, and instead of only working within one space, they now buff allies across the whole map. This effect is similar to Peony's weapon, and generally I think Cross Spurs will fit support units like Peony more than anything. If you can line things up, you can have multiple units buffing with Cross Spur from outside of the drive skill's 2 space range. It also works if you have offensive units like Lyre who are diving into the enemy team across the map. Now, while cross spurs are new options, they probably won't dethrone joint drives. It's just more fun when your unit also benefits from the same buffs you pass out. Now, in terms of playstyles, Reginn kinda just wants to nuke people with her special, then retreat for a second round. She's kinda glass cannony like our recent seasonal mage cavaliers and has no defensive help from her weapon. If you just want to blow someone up, then you should run low speed and res to get rid of res buffs on the enemy, and Reginn already has Kanto anyway. It is really nasty to be able to initiate from 5 spaces away and then move 2 spaces afterwards. That's why Far Trace uses remaining movement for bouncing reasons. Reginn will be extremely deadly, but of course, she can be stopped by damage reduction or just a solid distant counter hit. If you can get to lower HP, then Desperation is fine, although she has an HP condition to play around. Honestly, while something simple like Guard could help protect against instant special, there's also Wind or Water Sweep too. Reginn would lose the ability to double, but she would be so annoying if she could freely proc her special, then run away with Kanto, and then be able to do it again on turn 4. Kanto with a sweep skill is just hilarious, but it's something our next unit can pull off a little better. I don't know if you want to completely prevent Reginn from doubling, but it could be an option for things like PvP. Besides B skills, you pretty much just stack attack and speed unless you change Sather Shell out. If you want, you could stack more defensive res, but you're getting no extra defensive tools from her weapon at all. Unless you can tank Sather Shell and its adaptive damage, Reginn is another mage cavalier you don't exactly want to let initiate first. Easier said than done though. Let's now move on to our third unit, and that's Years Fafnir. The antagonist for most of Book 5 gets his playable version, but if Oder can be a mythic hero, then I don't see why we couldn't get a mythic Fafnir as well. For now though, this Fafnir is a red dagger cavalier with 40 HP, 43 attack, 39 speed, 31 defense, and 16 res. He will have a speed super boon, and he's definitely keeping up with recent powerhouse dagger units, although that 16 res is a bit concerning. For old skills, Fafnir has Glimmer, attack and speed solo 4, and Disarm Trap, some pretty solid skills to go with his weapon. Fafnir's got the Nidavellir Sprig, and this pretty plant is quite potent. It grants a flat +3 speed, bringing him up to 42 speed, and like Reginn, he gets Kanto 2 for the first 4 turns. If he initiates combat or is not adjacent to an ally, he gets +5 to all stats and Float Guard. This means Fafnir neutralizes effects that prevent his follow-up attacks, and he inflicts -1 special cooldown charge on the foe during combat. First off, ranged cavaliers don't get access to Float Guard, so that's a nice plus for Fafnir, and offensive no follow-up is always a bright spot for any initiator. Like I mentioned with Reginn, Guard is nice if you want to prevent an instant special retaliation, although Fafnir is a little more durable, at least on the defensive side. We'll discuss this weapon a bit more in just a bit. Fafnir does have a new inheritable skill to share, and it's Rouse Attack and Defense 4. At start of turn, if unit is not adjacent to an ally, grant +6 attack and defense and the no panic status to the user for 1 turn. Basically, you add no panic to the Rouse 3 boss, and that's a nice addition if you don't want to get panicked. Now, Fafnir gets some very nice tools to work with. Flow Guard is good to let him double enemies and not get hit by an instant special. He is stacking a ton of attack and speed stats and has higher defense to tank distant counter threats. Now, obviously magic damage will destroy Fafnir, but he at least gets +5 res from his weapon. Maybe he can tank 1 hit unless it's a nuking mage like Reginn. Speaking of which, as we mentioned Reginn, being able to combine Kanto with Wind or Water Sweep, but Fafnir can actually use the Wind Sweep plus no follow-up combo and tacked on Kanto too. What this means is that Fafnir can double without getting countered at all, then he can back up with Kanto too. The idea is the same as with Reginn, but Fafnir will be able to double thanks to Flow Guard from his weapon. You don't have to do this since he probably can tank a hit, but the option is there, and Fafnir has Dagr debuffs which you can apply safely. Now, while this can be a fun combo, he already has Disarm Trap, which is pretty great for 8th raids. Like a dual Lin with Disarm Trap, Fafnir will be able to initiate on trap tiles, and he can move again after with Kanto. It's not Gale Force, but better than nothing. Very nice combo for 8th raid teams, but you do need to act quickly within those first 4 turns. Now, like Reginn, Fafnir also just wants to stack more attack and speed. Catch skills or blade session are amazing, but heavy blade may be another option since lethality is now in play for dagger units. I think generally speaking, Years Fafnir is a pretty cool unit, another ranged cavalier that can put together some very sweet Kanto combos. Last up, we have Duo Dagr Nott. The twin Jotunheimer sisters getting a dual ult is not very surprising, but I think they're going to be quite scary to go up against. Instead of lances or axes, this time Dagr is going to be a green archer, and he's a flying unit as well. The sisters will have 40 HP, 41 attack, 42 speed, 27 defense, and 22 res with attack, speed, and res super boons. All of these will be good options. The duo will sport the highest offensive stats for flying archers and will be the first Gen 6 BST flying archer as well. For ult skills, the pair will come with Luna, attack and speed push 4, and attack and defense rain. Rain skills are fine, but we have another push 4 skill on a unit with an HP condition. For their weapon, Dagr will have the Jotnar bow, and this has 14 might plus 6 sword specials. If Dagr initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, she inflicts -5 to attack, speed, and defense on the foe, and then inflicts more debuffs to their attack, speed, and defense based on field buffs on Dagr's own attack, speed, and defense stats. You can kind of think of this like a bonus doubler effect, but not really. If Dagr has a +6 attack buff, she'll inflict -6 attack on the foe. Generally speaking, you want full buffs on Dagr, and she'll turn those into extra debuffs on the foe. Like normal Dagr or Nott, things can get pretty out of hand with how much stat stacking is occurring, although this time they're stacking debuffs on the enemy. Now, besides these combative effects, the duo keep Pathfinder as well. If you aren't aware, Pathfinder lets allies move through the space Dagr or Nott occupy for free. It is an incredible utility tool and can stack with multiple Pathfinder units. Speaking of which, since they are not mythic heroes this time, you can put Duo Dagr on your Astra or Anima seasons opposite to their respective selves. Now you can face Pathfinder on both seasons. Hooray! If that's not enough for you, then their dual skill surely will be. It grants +6 to all stats for Dagr and any allies within 5 rows and 5 columns. It also gives those allies Pathfinder. Yep, we now can have entire teams of Pathfinder units, and that is just disgusting. This will be so gross with Kanto units, and we just added 2 more of those into the game as well. This is for sure one of those things you do not want to face, so if you're playing Summoner duels, good luck. Now, for those that want to use Pathfinder, remember that you can only use Pathfinder if the ally can move through the actual tile Dagr or whoever is standing on. For example, as a flying unit now, Duo Dagr can't just ferry non-flyers across mountains or ocean tiles. They would have to be other flyers to use Pathfinder. If you want to move Reginn or Fafnir around, they can't Pathfinder over forest tiles. That being said, they can bypass the movement penalty of trenches with Pathfinder. Now, besides the unholy mess that is team-wide Pathfinder, the full +6 field buffs will also activate the Jotnar bow in full. Not a new skill, but Duo Dagr will keep her Mythic B skill. Sun Twin Wing inflicts another -5 speed and defense and gives no follow-up 3. This does have an HP condition, so push forward's recoil damage is not ideal for longer fights. This is a solid skill since flyers cannot normally get no follow-up 3, and the sisters can stack their debuffs with their weapon and their Rain C skill. With that in mind, if you fully activate our Duo Dagr Nott's kit, they can give themselves +6 to all stats via their dual skill, and that's going to translate into -15 attack, -16 speed, and -20 defense on the foe. Pretty nasty and can only be avoided if the enemy neutralizes their field boss. Personally, the only thing I would change from their base kit is attack and speed push 4 if you care about longer fights. Dagr could go with defensive options if you want her to tank hits, but otherwise, like our other banner units, stacking more attack and speed doesn't hurt. With no follow-up 3, she can double slower tanks through follow-up prevention, and also she won't get doubled by free follow-up attacks, which is very nice. Even without the field buffs, Dagr still stacks a ton of in-combat debuffs with very little conditions to set up. She also can get a 2 cooldown Deadeye if you want to punch through damage reduction. While getting a self-buffing C skill would be nice, I do think the range skills are just solid and they stack with her other debuffing skills. Now, outside of personal combat, the true terror of Duo Dagr will probably come from Pathfinder. As mentioned, you can bring them to any 8th raid season this time, and when you use their dual skill, you can get an entire team with Pathfinder. If you already did not like facing console units in Summoner duels, this does not help at all. Another scary possibility is a team full of flying Pathfinder units. Imagine them just flying over all the mountains or water tiles to bombard you. You can even add Atri with her Kanto weapon as well, or you throw in Harmonic Catria with her triangle attack boss. Good lord. Kanto and Pathfinder are 2 crazy abilities, and we're already going to start the new year with both of them again. That'll be it for the upcoming New Year's banner. It's going to drop when the New Year rings in, so we got a little bit to wait. Next, I'm going to cover the upcoming Tempest Trials, including Kiza, our next reward unit. We got another free beast unit for those not summoning. Speaking of not summoning, literally a week after this banner will be the first New Heroes banner of 2022. If you want to be patient, we'll find out who's coming shortly. Also noteworthy is that the Fallen banner is returning on the next daily reset. Lots of fun fodder there, and the ever-powerful Fallen Edelgard returns again. We're still in the thick of the holiday summoning madness, so good luck to everyone. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.